So, usually, my tier lists are very controversial, except for my She-Ra one, because I just gave pretty much every single character a good rating, which I kind of expect to happen today, because I like Steven Universe, and there are some characters I don't like nearly as much as others. Usually, these tier lists tend to get a little controversial, because there's a fan favorite character, well, allegedly fan favorite, or just a very popular character that is well received by the audience, that I loathe, and then there's a character that nobody likes, and I'm like, this is a great character. Why are they so underrated? Why does nobody like them? I like them. Like, I'm gonna do a Korra tier list as well, and if you've seen my Unalaq video, then you know I'm going to rate him pretty high. And if you've seen my Kuvira tier list, then you know she is just S tier. So, oh my god. Why do I like dictator characters so much? Oh no, where did I rank Hordak? Anyways, moving on to... Well, speaking of dictators, pun not intended, that's one of the most controversial things about Steven's universe, is like there's intergalactic dictators. We literally have space Hitlers. 3 of them. And Steven is just like, I forgive you, and then peace and love on planet Earth, as the song goes. So, I expect this to be controversial because those characters are just in the tier list, period. Like, I'm expecting people for me to, like, put them in D or something. Well, Lily Orchard will want me to put them in D. Ha, these nuts. Sorry, bad pun. Subscribe if you don't like bad puns, and then maybe I will consider not putting in the bad puns. Anyway, let's move on. So here we have, what is this lady's name? I remember her being like Karen. Karen? Is that a good description? I don't. She was such a mean boss lady. I don't have the super clearest memory, but I remember little bits and pieces about her, and the most annoying part is this character reminds me of somebody that I actually had to work under IRL. That made me quit a job that I worked for 2 years because she was just that insufferable. I don't like the character. She was like a very good, like, I'm literally just here to be an asshole and give the audience some, you know, like those videos where it's like, dude, fishtails me. Immediately gets caught by the police. Something like that. There's a word for it. I do not have the language to do the words, but it is in there. And that is all she was good for, besides being extremely annoying on screen. So while I thought it was fun to have her there for that, is not a very good character. So I think she firmly belongs in C. I wouldn't want to see her ever again, but just once was like, okay, you've had your moment. It was fun and it was annoying. It was a mixed bag. Let's leave it at that. And next one, we have Alexandrite, or whatever her name is. This was kind of dumb. It was just like, we have like a foe that we like physically can't beat anymore, so we all just like fuse, and now it's an even matchup. It just felt like lazy writing. I do like the idea that the sum is greater than like all their parts together. It's just kind of cute in that way, but it was just used for like fighting almost exclusively. If there was like a moment where like Steven had an issue and then Alexandrite was just like, hi, I have my own experience of this, and like she like made the crystal gems fuse together so that way she could talk to Steven, which would raise very interesting moral questions about fusion, but that would actually be super cool, because then it could be like, well, if Ruby and Sapphire separate, then can Garnet just be like, no, I demand you two get back together now? I think that would be a super interesting episode. So she just didn't have a lot of potential, but I would definitely like to see more of her, unlike ass face below her. Anyway, we're gonna move on to Amethyst. Amethyst is a favorite character. All the puke jokes, the poop jokes, but they also had like very interesting storylines about like her issues with inadequacy, because she's not like other amethysts. It's you know, just like a relatable experience for a lot of people. So a lot of people can relate to this character, and she doesn't need to be going through whatever the audience member is going through in order for that struggle to be conveyed in a character. And I know some people think the writing with Amethyst was a little bit forced at times, and like, sure, but you know, her overall tomboyish nature and like very real issues she went through in the show were just very interesting to watch and see how she handled it, especially from like an alien that has like no real perspective on the world like outside herself. She could be perceived as like very selfish and not considerate of others, but she just kind of like appeared, and then well, it was after the war too, so she just kind of like appeared and was adopted, so she's the oddball out and doesn't have all these like shared experiences or memories with everybody else, and doesn't get like as much attention or validation, so she like acts out a little bit in order to receive it. She's hilarious on screen. I don't like the design as much, just because it's like, oh, it's purple circle with very long hair. But yeah, I mean, just easily S tier. I don't know a single person who doesn't like Amethyst. Only people who are like, yeah, she's great, but I don't really care that much about her. And then we have the Uncle Andy, the family bigot, who is now accepting because, yeah, no, that episode wasn't good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't like. I mean, I like the episode. In theory, it's a nice sentiment, but it's more just like a fantasy of like seeking acceptance from loved ones or blood relatives. But we'll just give it to Steven, just because after blatant xenophobic comments.
Illegal aliens? What? You couldn't even marry an American?
Oh my god, Andy was such a horrible character. Not only like as a character, but also I thought he was just like horribly written in that episode. I just like what they were trying to do with him. I think it was just executed extremely bad. Anyway, let's move along to this fucking asshole with the accent. Oh my gosh, she was so annoying. She was like a great, like, oh, you can't beat this foe's too powerful because it's magical bullcrap. It wasn't fun. And she was just annoying. I did like her, like, her attitude was so snarky and condescending that, like, it just hurt to watch her, which is a feeling that I don't usually get watching a cartoon. So, I don't know. I would rather see more of her than Uncle Andy. So, yeah, I'm moving her up there. And now we have the mother of Sadie. I did not almost forget her name. She was like a very... Did we ever see Sadie's dad? I don't remember. I feel super bad. I made a parody of this show, and I don't remember the characters' names. Sadie's mom was kind of used for like the same thing that Uncle Andy was, where it's like, oh yeah, family acceptance for like being the way we are. And that's when Sadie got to do the Stevens or whatever the band was called. I don't fucking know that shit. And it's just like, oh yeah, I was also in a band once or something at the end. It was like a plot twist. It's okay. I could be remembering this episode completely wrong, but I've seen it 3 times, so that's just how unmemorable the character is. And I feel that was a really boring episode. I'm sorry if you like the music. I didn't vibe with it, and I would be happier if it just wasn't there. All right, let's go on to Dewey. This guy's name is Dewey, right? The mayor. It was fucking... Oh my god, it was such a funny character. It's like a parody of politicians. And then like they gave him like a tiny redemption arc towards the end, which like didn't fully redeem his character, but just like showed that he's, despite doing dumb stuff and being so selfish, he actually does like have the capacity for goodness within him. But it was just interesting to see this character who was just like a parody of politicians, and they're like, actually, we're gonna add some depth to him and make him more interesting than just a one-note joke. I just really appreciate that. And so, but like I said, he was funny, so I would like him to be on screen more. And I like the episodes where it's like he was the main character doing stuff with Steven, growing as a 40-year-old adult. Interesting. People keep growing even after their point of maturity. This character just kind of like shows that, like, if you're stuck in a life, nothing's going on, and then like an alien invasion kind of like changes your perspective on like the world as a whole, and like you have to care about your son again, because like, oh, what if my son got killed by the aliens? And that is why he wasn't as interesting though, so I'm gonna just put his son in B. Bismuth. Kind of a divisive character. She wasn't that fun. I mean, it was pretty clear what they were trying to do. I didn't like that they made it to like a 2-parter and it was kind of boring. It wasn't like, awful. Like, I would rather a Bismuth episode than Andy or Sadie's mom episode. So I'm just gonna put her up there, even though Aquamarine just like impacted me way more. And also, maybe it's just because I don't know anybody IRL that is like Bismuth, so I just don't know how to like conceptualize this character other than like, oh, this is a character that made this happen in the show. The end. And she didn't do a whole lot, but she did give Steven that like whole arc about like, okay, well, murder is wrong, but like sometimes it's good because this person is literally about to kill you, and it's kill or be killed, and then Steven had to deal with that, so it was at least kind of interesting. And then we have Connie. I don't even know how to classify this character. To be honest, I never really thought that much about Connie. Maybe I should do a deep dive on the character's representation, because stereotype much? Jokes aside, I don't know. She was always like fine to be on screen, and she had some really heartfelt episodes with Steven and Garnet, and she just became a very useful fighter by the end of the show. But that is just like, oh yeah, we trained you to be a warrior. I really like the episode where she like accidentally broke the kid's arm and had to like figure out how to like reconcile it. A lot of people really like that episode, so it's not very notable for me to say that, but it's just weird how they were like, oh yeah, this person who was like sheltered child suddenly is just in a world that is way bigger than they are. And it just, I don't know, it just felt like there wasn't like a very smooth transition from that into where they are now. And then the Stevani thing was super uncomfortable. And then Steven and Connie had their issues, but maybe I'm getting that mixed up with Steven Universe Future. But yeah, I would honestly, yeah, I feel like she's okay in B. I'd make her a high B. She's fun. Well, no, it wasn't that fun. I like the character, but it's okay. And now we have, these were Lars's parents. I think they go way too hand in hand. Is it just me? Or did you feel bad for Lars' parents for having to raise Lars? I mean, the dude's clearly going through some sort of like identity crisis that his parents have no idea how to like interact with, and they're trying to figure things out, but they just don't have the what is it called? They just don't have the emotional bandwidth to be there for their son, so they just kind of make his situation worse. So they were fine for what they did because they were just tools to help tell the story of Lars and why Lars is the way he is. And they were in part just demons for him to overcome. And I think a lot of people, especially people who like Steven's universe, can relate to that at the very least. So just very understandable characters, and I don't like see them as like villains so much. It was just very messy. If there was more complexity or more screen time given to these characters to really flesh them out and help us see them as more than tools to tell Lars's story, then I feel like maybe they would at least go up to B. But C, it's like, okay, they appeared, they did their thing, I'm cool with it, but I don't want to see anymore, which is just a running theme that I have for all the characters in C. Although Aquamarine just, I don't know, she was so pompous and cool like at the same time that it kind of like overdid itself. Like, you just got burnt out on Aquamarine from 2 episodes. Like, okay, that's enough of Aquamarine. I'm done now. Oh no. We have Blue Diamond as the next one. Shit. I was not prepared to talk about the diamonds. Oh no, it's all 4 diamonds. So, Blue, you know the VeggieTales Madame Blueberry song? If you do, then bonus points. And if you don't, then what's the use of feeling blue? Blah, blah, blah. They were like, haha, she's blue because she's sad all the time. Why is she sad? Because she lost her little sister. Yeah, it's a thing that happens. It sucks to lose a family member. And I get that it definitely hits other people way harder than others. And we definitely see this dynamic between all 3 of the diamonds. Is like, White Diamond just like completely fucking dissociates from the situation and just goes like autopilot. And then like Yellow has to be strong for everybody else because everybody's grieving in their own way, but Yellow's like, oh, I need to be the strong one here, so I can't let it get to me. And then later she gets things sorted out, but she doesn't really, because then it's like, oh, Pink Diamond was Steven, so it wasn't like not gone, or like they can't conceptualize how gone Pink Diamond is. It's very messy. And Blue was just the I am sad because they're gone, and then it's just like indication that this is a thing that has deeply messed up their family dynamic. And for that to be like the cornerstone of her personality as a character is really boring. If they made her like more of an empathetic ruler, I mean, they already did, but if they made her more so, it's just like, oh yeah, this is the least absolutely fucked in the head one. It's not subtle at all. She doesn't get redemption points just because she was a little bit nicer to her slaves than the sisters. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna talk about Pink last. Yellow Diamond, like I said, the strong one who was just like, I'm just here to like get shit done. Apparently after Pink was gone, she's the fucking workaholic. She's like, oh, my sister has died. I'm going to distract myself with work so that way I don't process it and get stuck in the processing part like Blue, but I'm actually gonna do something, unlike White Diamond who just chills at home and is just like fucking head empty for forever, and like everything's in one ear and out the other. Like you can tell that she's just like a husk of a person. The soul left her body when her little sister died. Is this just me, or is it like they all are depicted as like toxic coping methods for trauma? Maybe I'm reading a little bit too deep into it, but I did think Yellow was a little bit more interesting. There's such like a strong air of arrogance, like when we meet Blue and Yellow, and like the Yellow Pearl is all like snooty and stuck up because like, my diamond is the one who conquered 10,000 planets. And then the Blue Pearl is just vibing. And then we have the issue with Peridot. Yellow Diamond was definitely portrayed as the big bad for a brief splint of the show, and she made for a very terrifying villain because we knew what she was capable of. She was introduced as the person who was conquering multiple galaxies all on her own, and just be like devoid of emotion, but also like very sound decision making, I guess. Like you wouldn't want to go up against her in a battle. There's not a lot of weaknesses you can exploit, and that just made her a very interesting villain. So I think I'm actually gonna put her in A, because like Blue was annoying to have on screen. Yellow Diamond was like interesting just because she was such an imposing character. It's like, what's gonna happen here? I want to see them duel. And then it also seems like Yellow Diamond was more powerful than Blue Diamond, or at the very least more interested in fighting and drawing out conflicts, versus Blue Diamond was more interested in like resolving them in like a more diplomatic manner. So I thought that was very interesting in Blue, but it comes back to I thought Yellow was much more interesting than Blue. And then we get to White Diamond, super divisive, and like I said, the dissociative thing going on with her was it was definitely scary. I do like the representation for that though. She was also consumed by grief, but just in a different way than Blue. So she was just like locking her head down, going through the motions, not wanting to interact, not wanting to feel things, trying to like purge the world of everything because like, oh, I don't want to feel anything. If I make others not feel anything, then things will be good too. It was super fucking creepy and ominous. There's an episode of Exploding Kittens that kind of like portrays this very well, which I know is the weirdest thing to compare White Diamond to a decade later. Anyway, I thought she was very interesting. As far as like finale goes, that was like a hell of a boss. Like most villains are like, oh yeah, something bad happened to me and now I must do evil, or like I just like power. And White Diamond was just, she was grieving and she just didn't have a healthy way to like deal with it. I was just like, I need to remove emotions from the world so that way I will not feel it, and then things will be better. Let me purify everything. No emotions is pure. She was very red-pilled. Wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't good enough to go up in A tier with Yellow or Dewey, but like, Connie was just more important for the overall story, but I just like White Diamond better, so I'm just gonna put it there. I like White Diamond more than Connie, but Connie did a whole lot more for the story, so I'm happy with this placements. And then we move along to Rose Quartz, aka Pink Diamond, unless they are separate characters. Okay, yeah, I don't see them as separate characters. Oh, Spinella's down here. Alright, Rose Quartz. There's literally so many analyses of Rose Quartz that it's low-key kind of disturbing. I feel like cartoon enjoyers are so obsessed with this character. I don't even want to, my brain is just, it starts like to short circuit the moment I start to think about it at all. I did not like the character. She wasn't even there for the most part. I mean, all we know about her is from her backstory, which was, I thought, kind of interesting. You know, it was just like, oh, was born into a system, realizes that the system is wrong, and tries to go about fixing it. Yet the fan base labels her the villain because, like, yeah, she did bad things, but, like, she was also trying to fix it, and I understand that, like, just because somebody's trying to make things better doesn't, like, resolve them of all guilt. But then it's like, well, then you can't be happy with anything that happens in politics because every politician is guilty of corruption. You just kind of have to be happy with the fact that things are better than they used to be. Rose Quartz or Pink Diamond was like, yo, this is kind of fucked up. I don't really want to be a part of this system, but I'm within the system. And so she continually argued to try to change it, and was regularly dismissed and ignored and just generally treated as a lesser being. Like, we know that Earth was just like, here's a planet, so you like go fuck off and stop bothering us while we do grown-up diamond shit. So they were just like treating her like a child with these big dreams of grandeur for like equality amongst all, or relative equality. I guess it's kind of weird when they're diamonds and they have more power. They could just fucking blow up a galaxy if they wanted to. It's very interesting dynamics, but the fact that she wanted more for everybody around her and less for herself is just kind of telling for like where her heart was at as a character. And a lot of people argue that like she didn't do it very well, and it's like, yeah, when you grow up, I have this in a upcoming video about Hordak and Catra, is if you grow up in a very messed up system, your idea of what morality and good and bad are going to be super heavily skewed, so that what may look good to you, if you go out and like meet just a down-to-earth normal person who didn't grow up in a toxic environment, they're gonna be like, no, that's bad, and you're gonna be like, wait, but it's good because blank. And then it's just like, well, it's just the less evil of the alternatives that were available at the time that this was thought of. So I think she just gets a lot of bad rap because we have a better sense as audience members of like what is morally right and wrong, and Pink Diamond wouldn't have that kind of context. And the writers understand that, like, why would she have like a sophisticated idea of morality and like ideas about like slavery? It's like, we don't do slavery anymore. We've like, there's all the reasons why it's wrong, and then here's all the way that society is better because we don't do that. And their society has never even reached that point, because just like other societies, like I said, most societies did slavery, and if they weren't doing slavery, it was the subjugation of other religions or other sexes. So it's like, even if slavery wasn't even there, there was always a hierarchy at play that pushed people into specific roles of power. Those who obey and those who demand. Boss and employee. It's just like a different version of master and slave that is like less ownership-y, even though the dynamic is literally the same. It's like, I say do this, you do that or else. But moving on, so I do really like the idea that Pink Diamond was just a revolutionary. And like, she's like, no, okay, if y'all won't listen to me, then like, I will don this persona and kill myself, which I can understand why this is stupid. And this is just like, okay, Pink Diamond being stupid. It's like, it would have meant way more if Pink Diamond was like, fuck the other diamonds, I don't agree with their form of government anymore, and then led the charge as Pink Diamond. But that's also an issue because we've already established that the other diamonds look at her as like the silly Billy, and so like they wouldn't really care. She knew that, okay, they do care about me. They kind of suck at showing it, but I know they care about me. So if I get myself killed, they'll be so emotionally scarred that maybe they'll reconsider stuff, which is not that smart. It clearly just made things worse because they were so traumatized that like they literally just became worse people. Well, except for Blue. Blue was like too busy grieving to become worse off. But White Diamond and Yellow Diamond became worse because they didn't have a positive way to deal with that shit. So this raises a question, like, what should Pink Diamond have done? She could have just set all of her people free and set up her own civilization on the Earth and just let them be. And then be like, no, you're not allowed to destroy it, because, you know, like the human zoo thing was just like, oh yeah, just put them here and just let them be people. We'll feed them, we'll make sure they don't get like sick or whatnot, make sure the gene pool stays healthy. But that's kind of it. They're just like, yeah, they're having fun, we're just gonna maintain them. Instead of freeing her slaves, she used them to fight a war that she thought was correct. And although she was correct, it's kind of wrong to use these people as her pawns, and that was what a lot of people had an issue with her with, is that despite being against that form of government, she used that form of government, and a lot of good gems died as a result of her bad decisions. Like, instead of just freeing them and then being like, see, they're free, they're doing their own thing, life is good for them. I don't know why you think this is a bad idea. But then it comes back to, does that mean the three diamonds were right to treat her like a kid? Because we see that Rose, Pink Diamond, did not have like the mental capacity or like the life experience to really understand or how to deal with this. But that's also a very interesting play on like people who are born into wealth, who are just so not down to earth, and it's just impossible for them to see people who are beneath them as people, because they are in a position where they are literally objects for them to use. That's why people with like tons of money, it's like, hey, I give you salary, you do what I want, you are now my plaything, and if you complain, I can take all your money away, you could lose your house. She's just in this unique position where she doesn't have that ability to understand how much damage she's doing to all the people around her. And is a society that's already kind of figured it out. And by the way, people like Peridot, perfectly happy with the way things are. And then there's some gems who weren't happy with the way things are. And it's just like, okay, then why don't we figure out a way to accommodate that? And, you know, it comes back to like the whole Messiah complex diamond issue. The character just presents so many ethical issues that she just can't be measured objectively. And she did kind of kick off the plot. I didn't like her, but I really like what they did with her, just because it's so fucking interesting. I don't care if you like the character, you think what she did was good or bad. She was just extremely fucking interesting, and I liked all the stuff that happened in the show as a result of her. All the story arcs, Steven overcoming like his trauma, Pearl coming over hers. It's just a lot of really interesting, deep storylines, all just like woven together by one person who screwed up so royally. And there's something beautiful about that. And I think it was just, I was about to say I think it was really well written, but that's wrong, because the topic is just so complex. I don't think anybody could ever write a character like this correctly. The whole point of having a character like Pink Diamond is to screw up royally and show what that is like, and why nobody should have that much power, which is ultimately, at the end of the day, what she was trying to prove to the other diamonds. I think Pink Diamond wanted to be the hero of the story, but ended up being one of the villains on accident still. But like, yeah, it's just the whole point of like, even with good intentions, you can still ruin things. All right, I think that discussion got deep enough. Let's light it up with Connie's dad. I remember this dude being like, he wanted to be a cool dad, but like he wasn't super successful, but it was like still really cute that he tried, which makes me like him. He's short and sweet. He's going in B. And then we go on to Emerald. Emerald was just like the arch nemesis of Lars during Space Arc, which was really fun and everything. And like, it was fun to have them. And then that was it. So I'm just gonna go and see, because that's kind of what we're doing. It's like, I'm happy with the screen time I got, but please no more. And then we got the Polycule thing. I don't remember what this character's name was called. Yeah, it just, I mean, number one, I'm uncomfortable with the idea of polycules, and I understand how fusion is cool and cute. I was just generally uncomfy, depending on how you think about it. Oh no, I realize why I don't like this character. Oof, that's insulting. We'll talk about it later. Like, in a video later. Moving on to Garnet. Garnet. You are a buff lesbian icon. Yeah. But like, this was one of the things where, if you've seen my Lily Orchard video, you know, this was like the one thing where I was like, you know what? You're right. The lesbian representation with Garnet was not so great. And this came out after Korrasami was confirmed. I thought they were first to the party. No, they came after. They didn't do it as good either. I mean, it did get good later on the later seasons, but by then, like, becoming mainstream and was more normalized, so it wasn't, like, as impactful as the Korrasami kiss. I still liked the fact that they were a couple and, like, they had their issues, like the wedding episode and whatnot. But I'm not rating Ruby and Sapphire yet. I just like Garnet as their own individual. Ruby and Sapphire aside, I just really liked her personality, the way that she cared about Steven with, like, the switch, the flip-flop between like tender and loving to just like absurdly stern. It was very clear what Garnet was trying to do in every scenario, and at times she was just like so tired of Amethyst and Pearl's like fighting back and forth that like she snapped at them and didn't want to deal with their shit, which became like issues for Garnet to work through in some episodes. And like she had her like weird falling out with Pearl thing, because Pearl was like, I just like the feel of your body and mine together, and she's like, you fucking use me, bitch. Everyone got so fucking like rapey vibes. And not to spoil the mood, but yeah, that was just like one thing where it's like Garnet's existence is very understandable for me. Fuck. Okay. I'm just gonna like, any fusion with depth is just gonna be like, I'm gonna talk about this later. I really like her. She was kind of just like the big sister type in the show, like the loving aunt, but she wasn't like so amazing that I'm like, I need more episodes that are all about her. She's a lovely character to have in every episode, but like, I didn't like the characters that are about her. I like the episodes that were all about Rose Quartz and the fucked up stuff she did, or like the good things she attempted to do. And I like the episodes about Amethyst and her being a goofball, and the episodes about her like dealing with shit because she's really young at heart and doesn't really know how to deal with that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to like watch her explore that world. Well, you know, that's also something that she has in common with Pink Diamonds. They're both like young at heart and like fucking around and finding out. And then like the characters in A tier, like, they know better and they're like choosing to do whatever the fuck they want, and then it leads to interesting situations. And then B is like, we get used by the plot sometimes, but there's a deeper meaning to us. And then C is like, we're one note characters who are like interesting. And then D is like, this was not handled well. Speaking of not handled well, Greg, I'm just kidding. Greg was not a bad character. I know there's like a running joke in like queer plus shows, is just like parents are always portrayed as like demons sent from hell to ruin the main character's life. But no, Greg was such a loving and supportive dad. Greg is like if BoJack Horseman was not a shitty person. Like, he lived that celebrity Hollywood lifestyle and then doing nothing now. It's a very interesting comparison I never thought I'd be making, but like, I'm actually not disappointed with Greg. I don't think he's interesting enough that I would want to see more of him, so I'm just gonna plop him in B tier. I know that makes it sound like I would want him in C tier, but C tier is like, they were fun and show me no more. Like, more Greg is okay. More Greg is good, actually. Like, his relationship with Steven and his relationship with Pearl, like, if you saw my Steven Universe parody, I was like, let's let's dial this up. The Pearl and Greg dynamic is more insane than it ever was before. The jealousy and Greg just being like kind of oblivious to it, and it was so good. I love that side storyline. Anyway, and then we go to I don't remember his name. He owned the carnival and stuff. He was like just like a fun side character. I'm just gonna put him there. I don't know a bunch of these characters. Oh, it's the mailman. Yeah, I did not like him. He was so annoying. But that's just like my preference. His personality was just insufferable. If you like him, like him. This is my tier list. If he's S in your tier list, then good for you. I found him to be very fucking annoying, and I did not like the episodes with him. Well, the episodes about him, I guess specifically. I don't even remember him as a side character, only as like theater, relationships. Jasper, unironically, one of my favorites. I don't know why, I just like strong women. Why do I have a preference for this? It scares me sometimes. I think number one, Jasper is just very aesthetically pleasing. Tall, insanely buff, and fucking long ass floofy hair. It's great. She's also like has her psycho moments, so she's just like an interesting character. She's also kind of smart, so it's like terrifying. It's like insanity plus intelligence. We like Joker type beat, but you know, without the fucking nervous laughter. I guess one of the interesting parts about her is like there was no reason for her to be so fucking obnoxious. Just to put it bluntly, you know. She's just like an example of when she came out of the dirt, she was perfect. Everybody adored her. Everybody loved her. She was an emblematic of power and the superiority of gems. And it was just such a good foe for Amethyst to look at and be like, this could have been me, but I am vastly inferior in all these different ways. And Jasper made sure to rub it in her face. And everybody else accidentally rubbed it in Amethyst's face, which made Amethyst feel very bad. And she felt like she had to prove herself. Meanwhile, Jasper is just like, you know, strong, reign supreme. This was just like how she believed the world should work. And she happened to be at the top. And this is an issue that just like persists everywhere. Is people in positions of power, they tend to not really understand how much control over the people around them that they have. I mean, that's something we can all agree. But part of that is because people are just slotted into positions of power with or without like their consent. And it's just like, okay, well, if I was deemed to be put here, then I guess it's just because that like everybody else, like I'm just better than everybody else, and therefore my say goes over other people, versus people who have to like claw and scratch their way up. The most interesting thing about Jasper is she's so insanely stubborn. She believes that like the strong should control the weak. If you can do a thing, then like you should do a thing. And that's where she was just kind of like fuck around and found out with like the fusion thing, when she was like, oh no, this gem who's inferior to me, she fuses with this fucking child, and then suddenly I'm the inadequate one. And then it hurts Jasper's ego so much that despite her perfection, she can't measure up to the power of teamwork, because she is a solo act who doesn't want anybody's help. And then she cracks and gives in and has a mental breakdown and forces fusion, and then it corrupts her and things get really bad for her. And then she later becomes fixed by other people's mercy. And then suddenly Jasper is irreversibly damaged. Well, damaged by like her own idea being damaged, and then sees herself as kind of like unworthy from then on, and then goes and becomes a recluse in the woods and doesn't want to like do anything. She just kind of sits around waiting, feeling ashamed of her existence. And then Steven comes along, beats the crap out of her, and then for some reason, I know we're jumping ahead to Steven Universe future, but I just thought it was really interesting that Jasper was born like perfect and then felt like she had to maintain that level of perfection and just couldn't accept defeat. Like she might as well die if she accepts defeat then. And it's just like shows like the toxic pursuit of stuff. I feel like there's definitely an allegory for like body dysmorphia among this character, or maybe but shared between her and Amethyst, which I just find to be like really interesting. Also, another part of it is like, despite Jasper being quote unquote perfect, is she's just not happy with herself, and she's looking to make things better, but she doesn't really know how to do that. So all she knows how to do is to ruin other people's lives. So that's what she does. Later on, she just seeks validation from the others when Steven beats her, and then like Steven validates her existence, and she's just like, yay, there's a diamond that accepts me and is like giving me a direction in life. She's such a weird character. Literally nothing comes to mind like as a comparison. It's like, what other character do I compare this to? Jasper is so unique. I don't think she was like interesting enough to go up into S tier. I really like her, so I'm leaving her in A. I don't know what this dude's name is. Was it Kevin? He also invites, was it Stevani? Usually he invite to the party. That was a very awkward situation between Connie and Steven. I think he's gonna go into one of those like, it was fun having him, but please no more. I think the twins are like, they're interesting side characters because they have like their weird thing going on, like the pizza dream and whatnot. So there's definitely concepts to be explored there. And then also like, oh, we have the distinct slacker and the distinct like overworker. I think overworker might be the wrong word, but yeah. And then the dad was just generally used for weird jokes that I wasn't happy about that. So yeah, moving on. And then we have Lapis Lazuli. I know a lot of people really like Lapis, and the Lapis Peridot is one of my favorite cartoon ships, but I don't remember her story being that good. No, I guess she was just kind of one note. Her story was kind of just like depicting trauma and like very slowly overcoming it, or like just like waiting things out and just like pondering and vibing, and then like eventually with a little bit of help from Steven, she's able to like push past it and make the next step in her life. Oh, keep fucking burping in the middle of my monologue. It's disgusting, especially when I'm talking about somebody which has such a scarring journey as Lapis Lazuli. I would have liked to see more Lapis Lazuli. Like, contrary to a lot of people beliefs, I think that the Lapis Lazuli situation was handled pretty well. I mean, if people are like really care that much, I'll probably make a designated Lapis Lazuli video, but I think I went over like every character exhaustively in the Lily Orchard video, so I don't know if it's like something people will just like hear twice, or maybe if you're watching this right now, you haven't seen the Lily Orchard video, in which case I don't recommend watching it because it wasn't designed to be watched. I designed it to be a very painful experience on purpose, and then it somehow became my most viewed video. Extremely ironic. Moving along to Lars. I did not like this character. I didn't enjoy his arc. I didn't like his character design. I didn't like the sound of his voice. I didn't like the way that he treated Sadie or Steven. There was this... it just felt like very early on he was designed to be the character for everybody to hate, and then he just outgrew that and then became his own character later on, as they're like, you know what, like everybody's an asshole for a reason. Why is Lars an asshole? And then Rebecca Sugar just couldn't help herself and added depth to Lars and then made him a character, despite the fact that he did perfectly fine as the bully who worked in the donut shop. At the very least, if he was literally just the bully who worked in the donut shop, then he probably would have been like B or C tier, but they just gave him way too much attention, and I felt like it took away from the characters that I would have liked to see more from. I know Lion's over here, but it's like, meh. A lion was cute, big fluffy poof monster that was like useful, but he was more of a plot device. I'm moving down to C just because like it was just like, oh yeah, here's the OP steed, because we need to give Steven a way to like travel places fast. I will say the episode with like Malachite, avalanche of issues that came from the creation of this character for Lapis Lazuli to give her that like room that she needed to have like her own deep storyline for the audience to like have that shared experience and like empathy with was like super meaningful and relatable. So the Malachite episodes were some of my favorite. I don't really want to get into why, but yeah, this is just a personal one that at least A tier for me. All right, and then we got I don't remember the dude's name, the dude who was trying to sell avocado soda. Actually, I'm gonna move this into A. He was such a fucking prick, but he was absolutely hilarious on screen. I need more episodes of this dude, please. Alright, and then we have the Fry dude. You know, I'm just gonna give him like a B tier. We didn't really see a whole lot of him. He was interesting enough. the fucking fast food worker. His beef with the pizza shop was pretty funny. I liked it. Moving on to the lesbian that made Pearl. I'm not gonna make the joke. That led to a very interesting Pearl branching out episode and helped Pearl like find herself a little bit more. She tried new things, tried to be cool Pearl, and then she's like, I don't like this. I'm not happy with the choices I've made today. I'm not gonna do it. But then she goes and still gets her number or whatever. So she's plot device character. I'm not going to read it. Granny was used for like weird, just like bits. They could have used her more. And then we have that one thing, and then that thing, and then like Onion. Oh my god, Onion. No. Every single episode with Onion was such a fucking waste of time. Holy shit. And then we have Opal, or this is Opal, right? The fusion between Amethyst and Pearl. The character didn't have a lot of like stuff going for it. It was just like the introduction to fusion, which is kind of boring plot device. I did really like the character's design though, so I would like to see more of the Opal. And then we get into the Pearls. Blue Pearl, boring. It was nice having her exist for a brief stint, and that was it. Wait, this was White Diamond's Pearl? Oh, and then she's pink because Steven Universe Future, because this was the one actual Pearl broke. I would want to see more of this character. She was just interesting enough that I want to see more, and I'm happy with what they used her for. And then Yellow Pearl, very snooty, like, I work for the Yellow Diamond, the superior diamond, even though White Diamond's in charge, but I work for the superior diamond. I like the attitude. It was great. And then we go on to Pearl. She's her own Pearl. This character had so much weight to her, and there's so many morally questionable things she's done. I mean, she has done horrible things like force Garnet to fuse with her repeatedly for fun. She was also like the primary caretaker of Steven, who consistently looked after him, which is good, but also she's kind of doing it because of her love for Rose Quartz. So it's kind of like, what is it like kind of tainted? And then like she was kind of mean to like Amethyst and short with Garnet sometimes, while also being condescending and thinking that she's better than them. She had a lot of attitude issues. It's kind of crazy. Man, she had so many problems. I know a lot of people really love the character, and I like Pearl. I'm happy with all the Pearl episodes, and she causes a lot of issues, which is great for the show. Like, we need characters who cause issues. She's at least A tier. Like, I don't personally like her or connect with her as much as like the other characters like Garnet and Malachite. It's kind of like the Yellow Pearl issue, where it's like she's like, I serve the best diamond, which makes me amazing. And to have somebody who's constantly affirming that she is amazing probably inflated Pearl's ego, which made her mistreat the people around her because she saw them as lesser beings who are not worthy of her respect. She made an ass of herself quite a lot, but she always tried to make things right in the end, and she made for some very great episodes. And one of my favorite is when they all go camping together. Oh, that was great. And then she's like, I must sword train you, and then she's like trying to like project herself on Connie, and it gets really fucking creepy. That was another great episode, which is just like the parental exchange of like, I'm trying to mold you into the thing that I want you to be as an extension of myself, because I don't view you as your own person with your own autonomy. So Pearl just has like all of the creepy things. Pearl does some fucked up shit, and it's all insanely interesting to watch. But like at the end of the day, she's trying to help save the Earth, and is like, oh, we have the opportunity to save all gems? Cool, I'm down the ride with that. I'm cool. I'll do it. I will fight for the freedom of everything. But then it's also just like, if Rose Quartz never pointed her in that direction, what would she have done? Garnet didn't need anybody to point her in her direction. It was just like, okay, like Ruby and Sapphire care about these things. I care about it. I'm just also like badass and super strong, and I have the capacity to save. I just don't vibe with Pearl. It's unfortunate. Maybe people will get mad that I put Pearl so high on the list. People are gonna get mad that I put Pink Diamond so high on the list. Holy shit. It's like, what is it? Me putting a character high on the list is not me condoning their actions. Fry. No, never again. I liked Connie's mom. She was fun. She caused some issues, but at the end of the day, she was just like a good person and helped elevate the storyline. Even though, like, oh, it's Connie's mother, the helicopter mom, issues, the doctor, super educated stuff. I don't know. It just, there was like issues, but then they were like non-issues later on. So it was like whatever. She was just like a very fun character to have. The Peridot. Peridot, one of the best characters in the show. I know a lot of people were like really upset that Peridot is supposed to be asexual representation, and I have a video coming out about that in the future. I have not rewatched Steven's Universe since I did a bunch of research on the autistic experience. I just really love Peridot. She's such a cute character, so fun. I like her nerdiness. I like the sound of her voice. I like her whole thing of self-discovery. I do like the way that she interacts with fusion via being abhorrently disgusted with it, and then slowly getting a little bit more open-minded to it, and then not being indifferent, but just like, meh, it's not my thing. It's not something I'm interested in. The evolution that Peridot went through throughout the show was very gradual, and it almost all happened in season 2. Like, season 2 was Peridot season. And it was great. She was such a fun, cute character who was learning so much about the world. And it's just like a brand new perspective that I never thought. Like, if you suddenly gave a puppy intelligence, it would be like Peridot. Like, well, what the fuck is going on here? So Peridot was short and deemed quote-unquote like inadequate compared to other Peridots. So she used limb attachments to make herself look more like the people around her. It's so sad. That she felt insecure about her body, and then when those body parts were taken from her, she felt like she lost a part of herself, and that's like another like deep moving part about her. And that's why she cares so much about like the iPad in the episode where she goes to like the pier with Amethyst and Steven, and it's about to be thrown into the water, and she's like, it's all I have. And then she unlocks her powers in this moment of desperation, which is one, terrifying and fucked up, but like it just further demonstrates the point. From that point on, she's so much happier now that she's found something to feel proud of about herself. She has found something that she likes about herself. And I feel like everybody deserves to like themselves and like things about themselves. And it's a very interesting journey to watch Peridot go through that, where she's just pretending to act like everybody else and trying to go throughout life. And then when she loses all the stuff that's important to her, she feels inadequate and is feeling extra vulnerable and like scared of the people around her and like less of a person, and then they're accepting of her, and then she opens up to them, and then she creates new attachments with them, and then she doesn't have to worry so much about like her own feelings of self-worth and whatnot. And a lot of that self-worth came from validation from Yellow Diamond, her superiors, people that like she looked up to, that she got validation from, and how she overcame that to become more independent and her own person, and the way that she bonded with Lapis Lazuli. The way that Peridot was like interfacing with Lapis, like after doing fucked up things to her, and like trying to get forgiveness and like demonstrate remorse, and then just like finally having that like fucking breakdown. before her actually being vulnerable, because like Lapis was in a very horrible position at the hands of Peridot, the most vulnerable Lapis had ever been. And then Peridot comes over and is like, hi, you want to forgive me, tee-hee, tongue-in-cheek? And then Lapis is like, you fucking bitch, I hate you. And then Peridot gets discouraged, and then after Peridot becomes the vulnerable one and is like spills her guts out, and then Lapis is like, okay, now that I know that you do have a heart, and like now that I have seen you in distress, I understand like you've been like wringing yourself out to try to get like some validation from me, because despite your past actions, you do care about me, and I'm going to accept that now, and we can move forward together. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Peridot and Lapis ship is so good, because it just felt worth it. Almost all the legwork was on Peridot's behalf, which, you know, kind of justified after she fucking traumatized the hell out of Lapis Lazuli. But like, it's a redemption arc that I think was handled really well, because she had a lot of time to have this redemption arc and actually evolve as a person before requesting forgiveness and then showing that she's changed. And then like also putting up with the bullshit Lapis put her through as like payback, which was just hilarious. Okay. Oh my god. Oh, Peridot's such a great character. I love her so much. Anyway, then we got some like random fusion. And then we have Ronaldo. Fuck Ronaldo. Fucking annoying as hell. Oh my gosh. The rubies. Okay, which ruby is Ruby? Aha. There we go. I don't know. I don't think I liked Ruby that much that she should go in A tier. But she was great to have. Sadie. Oh my gosh. Sadie was a great character. Fuck. Shit. Okay, I'm at least gonna put her at the top of B. I don't know if she's good enough to go in A, because like she's really unnecessary. Just like as a character, I don't know if she'd change the plot that much. Bleh. I liked Ruby better than Sapphire. I just found Ruby more interesting. It was like the gullible one. Anyway, there's a lot of extras over here. Oh, spin now. I'm just gonna move everybody that I actually want to talk about to the front. Alright, I don't remember this character. Actually, yeah, I don't even know. Design wasn't fun. Amethyst and Steven fused into Smoky Quartz, I think it was. Smoky Quartz was just very interesting visually, and just like as far as the plot goes, it was very weird. It's like, okay, Steven and Amethyst fuse into Smoky Quartz and then beat the shit out of quote-unquote perfect Jasper, absolutely shattering her ego, pun intended. That was great. I don't think it's not good enough to go in A tier, but like B is like B for please bring back. Haha, haha. Did you see what I did there? Alright, Spinel. Damn. Fuck. I'm struggling whether I want to put Spinel in S or A. I'm just gonna put her in S for now, and then as I talk about her, see if I feel better about putting her down in A tier. Also, I'm contemplating moving Jasper. No, I don't know. I was gonna say I'm gonna move Jasper up, but then I realized, I don't know. She's not that amazing. I think I'm like, who else likes Jasper? Does anybody else like Jasper? Do you like Jasper? I like Jasper a lot. I like Malachite a lot. I like Yellow Diamond a lot. I like Garnet a lot. I like the Mare a lot. Actually, Connie and the Sadie are actually better than this dude, so I'm gonna move that guy down there. Tidy up the list a little bit. Spinel. I do thought it was interesting that like she had like the Harley Quinn arc where it's like just this innocent girl and then falls in love with Pink Diamond, who does a stupidly fucked up thing, and then she's traumatized, and then she wants to bring her suffering out on the world, and then people are nice to her, so she kind of like becomes like recovering a little bit and goes back to her like loving, fun self. It's like a fun character. She also has the best bop in the fucking show. I find her character design really fun and just like, fuck. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put Dewey like him. Yeah, okay, I feel better about it. Yeah, I don't know. Spinel is just like a high A. Yeah, I do like Spinel more than Jasper. Interesting. Alright. Steven. Fuck. Okay. So, Steven. Obviously, he's a child, so he's going to be fucking annoying. But it's very clear that Rebecca Sugar did not want to write a story about Steven. It's just the fact that she was writing for Cartoon Network that she was obligated to make the main character a little dude or little girl in order for the target demographic, in order to have a character to latch onto and view the world through their lens. And they made Steven super annoying and immature. And just, oh my god, Steven was so fucking annoying. I don't know, he was just so annoying, and there was so many Steven focused episodes that just went absolutely nowhere. And if it wasn't for the fact that Steven was the reincarnated version of Pink Diamond and was like, we need to save the world, like, the story would have just been like all these gems just doing their things there. I guess he was like the force that brought everybody together. He kind of had like bullshit weirdo powers. I guess that's probably not the best way to describe them, but I did not like Steven at all. So fucking annoying. And Steven Universe Future didn't make it any better. It did make sense that, like, because he had like a extremely weird childhood where he became like this sort of like messiah figure, that just like all that stuff he experienced weighed so heavily on his shoulders that it fucked him up in the head, and that became a thing that he had to deal with and like go see therapy and whatnot, and like it being like an allegory for growing up. It's like, yeah, I get all that, but like it was so painful to watch. Like it wasn't even fun. It was just pain. It's like watching a train wreck. It's like it hurts, but you can't look away. That's what Steven Universe Future was. Thank you for watching my Steven's Universe character tier list, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.